Welcome back. Joining us now, we have Mary Baker. She is one of about 20 CanGo Grannies that lives in Kamloops. Welcome to the show, Mary.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Have you been on Midday before?
Yes, some time back, yes.
Maybe give us a brief idea of what the CanGo Grannies do here.
Well, our mandate is to raise funds for the Stephen Lewis Foundation, and they in turn support community-based organizations in sub-Saharan Africa. And these are groups of grandmothers in Africa that have been impacted by the HIV/AIDS pandemic.
Okay.
So many of them are raising their orphan grandchildren, and it's challenging. They have their own health problems and their own issues as older people. They get no financial support from their governments, and there they are trying to support their grandchildren. And so over the years, since 2004, since the foundation started, they have received huge amounts of funds, and it's remarkable to see what they've done with them. And I had the great opportunity earlier this year to go with some of the members of the Stephen Lewis Foundation to visit some of the projects that we've been supporting.
And what countries did you go to?
We went to Uganda, visited some projects there, met some of the women that are benefiting, and then after that we went on to Tanzania for the first national gathering of Tanzanian grandmothers. And there they brought grandmothers from all over the country to Arusha to meet for 3 or 4 days of workshops, sharing. It was very, very powerful to listen to their testimonies.
I'm sure, but powerful for you as well to be there and see the obstacles that they are challenged by. But also, as you were mentioning on the break, they are still very joyful and have a lot of positivity in their standpoint.
And that's really, I guess, one of the things that surprised me was the fact that they can still find so much joy in life, and they have so much hope for their grandchildren that if they can get them educated, that they have a chance for the future.
Okay.
And many of these women themselves never had the opportunity to go to school. It's tough for female children in many African countries. And so, you know, they're often married off very young and get pregnant young, and then they live a very domesticated life. But they want something different for their grandchildren.
There's been a break in generations. The grandchildren are orphaned because the middle generation, many of them have died due to poverty, disease, AIDS, etc. Would that be right to say?
Particularly of HIV/AIDS.
Okay.
It had a huge impact on those countries. Yes. And so they've lost a lot of their professional class. You know, we're talking about the doctors, the dentists, the nurses, the lawyers, all these people wiped out by the pandemic, and largely because of the stigma that was attached to HIV/AIDS, and so nobody was talking about it, and the governments weren't doing any education about it. Things have changed.
Yes.
Yeah.
This Saturday in Kamloops, a very special lady, a granny from Zambia, is coming from overseas to have a discussion and a talk in Kamloops. Her name is Ida Nambeya Makuka. Again, she's Zambian. She's an AIDS activist, and you want people to know about this.
I really do. Ida was with me on this trip to Tanzania and Uganda this spring, and she is a wonderful lady, very, very powerful speaker. She has so many stories to share. I would love people to hear her. She herself has been impacted by the AIDS pandemic. She lost both her husband and her brother, and she has seen the impact on her own community and the other communities in Zambia that she's spent time in. She initially came to the attention of Stephen Lewis when she was setting up testing and treatment centers across Zambia. And he was very, very impressed when he visited Zambia to see how organized they were, much more so than other countries. And he asked who was responsible. And she sort of stood up at the back of the crowd and said, oh, you know, this is my work. So he sought her out afterwards, and a few years later, he enabled her to come to do graduate studies at Francis Xavier University. And after that, she was hired by the foundation to be an advisor to them.
So she is in Canada right now, and she is touring many different communities and talking.
Yes, she's talking in different communities anywhere that people are putting on a function. Our mandate is to raise funds, but also to spread awareness.
Yes.
And so she's a big part of spreading awareness.
So what will be her discussion? Just some of her obstacles in her life and what they're doing in Zambia to overcome this problem?
She'll talk broadly about the Grandmother Campaign, and that is the international groups of Canadian grandmothers and now in the US and Australia and the UK, how the money that we raise is being used in Africa to help the grandmothers there, and the progress that's happened. And that was the fantastic thing that I witnessed, that they are no longer just trying to put food on the table for their grandchildren and pay school fees. They are out there recognizing that they have rights, and that it is not right that if the man in their house dies, that his family should come and take their house away and leave them homeless. And it's not right that their daughters and granddaughters should be married off at a very young age and allowed to get pregnant and then no longer be allowed to go to school. So they're finding their voices, and this is very, very exciting.
Very exciting. It's great to hear these improvements in their life conditions that are being made. We're out of time, Mary, but again, I wanted to remind people, we want to remind people, St. Paul's Cathedral this Saturday from 1 until 2. That is the correct time.
That's right.
And is it a is it a donation or it's free?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, there will be a donation box, but we really just want people to come and to hear her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really great to know about. You can also learn more by going to StephenLewisFoundation.org. You just have to click on the Grandmothers Campaign. But it's this Saturday, 1 until 2 at St. Paul's Cathedral in Kamloops. We're back after a quick break. Stay with us.